Hello, everybody. Happy New Year, and welcome to, I think, episode eight
Eight.
of Pilu. And welcome. We are your hosts. I am Paleki of Angel Messages by Paleki, and
Louise Farr from Your Healing Journey. And Happy New Year. Happy New Year,
yes,
Pete.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. We haven't actually, we did. We had a video up a few weeks ago. We did one for the Yule celebrations and sort of how people celebrate their holidays. But yeah, this is our official back on track now. We're hoping to get back into them weekly again. So
Yes.
we're hoping to get back on. And oh, yes, before I forget, because exciting news, we finally figured ourselves out after all this time. And it was a small glitch, but I don't know technical stuff, but we are now officially on Spotify. So you can
Yes.
find us. And on Spotify, if you look us up, we're Plou, all one word, Pilu. For some reason in the name, they don't let us put the dash. So if you're looking up P-Lu, it doesn't come up. But if you look at Plou, you'll find our podcast right on Spotify. And I believe we are also, hopefully this week, if everything goes, we're going to be on I believe it's the Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. I think we're doing it with them too. So we're hoping to be on all the major podcasts pretty soon, but definitely already on Spotify. And if you already follow, we are on Podbean as well. And that one is under P-Lou on Podbean if you have that one. And that's for the audio versions. And then with the videos, we are, as always, going to upload them onto our social media pages and on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube where we have the other videos as well.
hmm
So if you do miss anything, if you hear this once and you miss it, there are definitely more places that you were able to go back and sort of track everything down. And also, if you follow the social media pages on, oh, my words are gone tonight. My heavens.
Instagram and Facebook.
Instagram. That's it, Instagram. We always tend to put up posts when the video is coming out or a day before or so, just so that you're aware when it is coming. All
Yeah.
right. So now that shop talk is done, let's jump into details. So how was your holiday, Lou?
My holiday was good. It was nice and quiet with Paul and little Napoleon, our pup.
Perfect.
And we did video chats with family,
Hmm.
and which was nice. Our son in Sweden and Paul's relatives in England and Saskatoon. So we touched bases with everybody.
Oh,
What about
fantastic.
what about you, P?
Well, I was lucky. I have my family here in Fredericton, so we were able to see family, but it was definitely a different year for many people this year. And one thing I've been wondering about, or, even I'd be curious about for people to comment below, if you weren't actually able to interact with your family like normal, but still like Lou was, got to connect through social media platforms or the chat platforms, if you found the energy was different, where you weren't physically interacting with people, because I know for a lot of people energetically, especially around family stuff, the holidays can be very overwhelming for them. So I'm
Yes.
interested to see how many people feel that their Christmas was slightly different or the energies were very different, kind of being able to manifest. And even with the new year, when a lot of people are with family and you're setting intentions, a lot of us this year were very quiet New Year because there weren't any big parties to go to. There wasn't anything out. So it was more little intimate get togethers or, like chatting again with people. So, because I know for me, and again, I appreciate this where, we live in our region, that my whole family was able to get together in this sense. So for holidays, so mine wasn't as different as normal. But we did have it at my house this year, which is something slightly different. So that's there. But I notice when I'm myself just physically drained, even when I'm doing readings or something, sometimes I find it's easier when I'm doing them online because there's almost a disconnect where you're not interacting with physical energies as much. So for you, Lou, where you didn't actually have as much as here, what did you feel for your energies?
I loved it. I really, really did because, like you just said, when you're with family, you're feeling the energies, you're
Hmm.
feeling their anxiety, their stress, their anxiousness. Now I understand why my dad would say hi to everybody when we would arrive and then go hide in his office
Yes. Yeah.
for the rest of, for the rest of the holidays,
Yeah.
and then tell everybody, when we left, like on December 27th or 26th, see you next year.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, cats are scratching the chairs. Stop.
Ah,
Um, but I mean, but that's actually a good example of setting boundaries, right? Like some people might perceive it as like being antisocial, but for some people, they are very sensitive to energies and overwhelmed very easily. And for a lot of people too, it's a lot different now too, being on platforms like this. And I think it really has shown a lot of people, even working from home, how you can interact with work colleagues and that differently. There definitely is a bit of an energetic disconnect that naturally happens when you are going screen to screen rather than face to face.
Yes, definitely. So no, for us, it was, quiet, and we've had Christmas and New Year's that have been quiet,
Mm-hmm.
but we've had one of our friends, mutual friends,
Mm-hmm.
sort of remind how they enjoyed our New Year's Eve
Oh,
parties.
yes.
So
Yeah.
I said, let's focus on 2022, that
Yes.
we will get back together and we will get a good New Year's Eve party going. So it's all about patience. This
Well, I
what we're
think
going
too,
through.
the wonderful thing this year is where they're already talking about vaccines and they're already trying to bring stuff like that into, we're already starting 2021 on less of a fear note than, we had for 2020, because for 2020, for a lot of people, COVID came out of nowhere. It was sort of this thing, and there's this optimism. And I think that's a really important thing, because I understand it's still, and we're not right on top of fixing it, but it is one of those that you go, okay, we're sort of past the halfway mark. Now we're in the place where we're communally coming together to work on this, to fix it, to heal it, to release it. And I think that's an important thing as a reminder for people, even where you can apply this global pandemic to that, where you can see that things can be hard, but eventually it does have its time where it shifts. Things can be hard, but it does have its time sort of where it ebbs and flows. And I think this is now coming into the flow stage where that energy is reshifting, and a lot of people are now left with that feeling of what's next. Do I go back to the way my life was before all this kind of stuff hit? And that's what Lou and I were going to sort of put as our topic for this week. We're kind of still back and forth a bit. We were going to do creativity, but I think we're already in this. We might as well work with the intention thing that we were discussing then. Because for a lot of people, I think setting the intention, like I mentioned in one of my live question and answer videos I did on my page, that many people get stuck with the thing of intention or setting a resolution for themselves, to the point where it becomes a stress because they can fail. And I think for a lot of people where it's not so much a resolution for, I don't want to go back to my old way of working. I don't want to go back to old dynamics. I don't want to go back to, old patterns. I think because of COVID, it's not so much people are going, I didn't enjoy that job, I don't want to do it. It's because they've now seen physically another way to exist that could be more potentially peaceful, more gentle, like we said, less disruptive to your energies. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of that this year with people, of that global consciousness shifting out of the fear place into the more of a, what can I now do when we relay this groundwork to build my life back up in a way that's inspiring, positive, but also practical for me.
Yes, exactly. I agree. I think I had a client today, and that's their mindset right now. Is they feel so overwhelmed with everything that's been happening, and it's been going on for, so many months now, almost a year,
Yep.
Doing the meetings, and they miss the interaction with other people. This particular person does. And I've talked to other people where they're like, I really like working from home. I feel more productive. I know I'm more productive when I'm home and doing the work. And at the same time, I'm available for my family.
Yep.
So, there's both sides. So it'll be, the dichotomy will be interesting. It'll be interesting as it unfolds throughout the year, when people start, returning back to the way, to see if maybe even the employers will start, opening up and changing their perspective. They don't have to have those $1 million buildings filled with employees if the employees are ready to work from home, so they can save millions of dollars. I mean, anything is possible. We don't know how it's going to turn. And that's the other thing I told this person also, is that, try not to have too much of an attachment to the outcome. Like when we set intentions, when we set, don't have too much, see yourself at the end result, see yourself and then, find that quiet place within you to tap into, how do you move forward towards that goal.
And I think that's a really sort of a great way to explain to people setting intentions, because, You know, and a lot of people, if you're familiar with works or anything, many years ago now, a book came out in DVD, The Secret, and it was a, you know, a really big thing for a lot of people was this, you know, manifesting, you know, drawing into your life and that. But for many people, they would try it, but it didn't actually work because the belief system wasn't there, or they didn't already have something physical to go from. So people would be like, you know, I want to work from home, but I have to go to the office because that's practical. Where now they've actually seen, oh, I can work from home. I can have a proper job at home, still make my money while I'm working out of the living room. You know, it's a very, very different disconnect. Now, for me, what changed in my work environment, because I'm fortunate I already work from home, is I had definitely less people in the house this past year. But I also think that was a needed to be for my energy, where I went through a lot of health stuff and I was resetting and healing. And it was very noticeable for me that with nobody in the house like normal, my energies rested in a way that they normally don't. And I think for me, it's I'm a very social person. Like I love my alone time, but I love having clients in the house. That's one of the things I always enjoyed. You know, and you get to hug people and you're interacting, and you know, there's a connection that you do get in person you don't get over the screen. But it's really interesting, and I've decided already I'm going to leave the option now that people can either come in person if they choose, like when things are more settled, or they can actually choose to have it online. You know, and for some people that actually works way better with them, especially like if you tend to be like have a lot of anxiety, you know, you tend to get overwhelmed easily. People that tend to be very introverted, they actually are finding a lot of peace and comfort in the over the screen thing, you know, because you're
Yes.
sort of in that control of that energy. And I think that's a great way to show people it's not about what's right or wrong or what's good or bad. It's what works for you. You know, so
Yes.
for some people, they're going, I can't work from home. It's overwhelming, too much energy. And that's because they're sitting in the same energy and it becomes stagnant. And they love that thrill of work. Where other people are going, oh my God, I need to be at home in that peaceful, quiet energy because it's too disruptive of work. And I think rather than going, everything's going to go back to normal, people can take this as an opportunity, not necessarily to manifest, you know, or to set that intention, but to actually say which way works for me and what do I want the universe to bring me more of.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. No, it's people are for the first time. I mean, this subject has been talked about for many years about,
Mhm.
you know, people working from home or working in an office. And now with the technology, they're realizing that they're capable of doing it from
Yep.
home and that
Mhm.
they're very productive. There's, you know, people are very productive working from home, and they make their own little, take one of the rooms, you know,
Mhm.
and make it into their office, into
Mhm.
their little sanctuary, and they do really, really well. I enjoy working from home. I do miss teaching, you know,
Yes.
one on one with other people.
Yes, and you have your drum circles and that too that you always had in person that I know those are
Exactly.
lovely in person.
But I am, you know, doing really well offering it
Yeah.
online,
Yeah, yeah, because
and
I've done a
people,
couple with you online and they were just as powerful in their energy as
yeah,
if you were doing the in person.
exactly. So no, I'm really, really pleased with how it's gone, and it's something to think about in the
Mhm.
future, you know, because my room right now is I wouldn't be able to fit anybody else.
Mhm.
This is sort of a dumping ground right now as
Yeah.
I'm decluttering my home,
Yeah.
which is
But
just
again,
across.
another perfect thing to sort of like bring example of, because a lot of people do set that intention, you know, I'm going to declutter my house in the new year. I'm going to get rid of the old toxic stuff. You know, that's a great way to show people you don't have to do these giant monumental over the top things, because you've been working at yours for a few months now. You're puttering, you know, and it's a great way
For
to do it.
years, for
And
years.
well, actively into it, like I'm gonna that you've talked about or that I've heard. But I think too, it's one of those important things for people to see. You can put stuff in one space while you're blessing and cleansing another, and then you can shift the stuff out of that space. You know, you can do your changes or your shifting in steps,
Mm,
you know, which a lot of people don't tend to do when you set the intention. So for like, you know, 2021, you're going to get in health, you're going to lose weight, or you're going to do better, or you're going to earn more, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people don't see it in steps. Like, well, you know, I want to lose weight. I'm going to start putting out gentle energy and start walking. Rather, it's like, I'm going to run a marathon. And I think a lot of people don't see it from the standpoint of energetic shifting or patterns that are old patterns that you're breaking out of or, releasing, that sometimes those can be a little challenging if you put all that pressure on yourself to do it right in one moment. And Lou and I tend to be, we're pretty good in this, that we've been friends for so long now, that when one of us is having a day, the other one automatically goes, down day, we're not doing anything, let's go to the beach, or, down day, like, so we're pretty good in that sense, that we've always known when the other one's a little out of sync with it, that we're like, quiet day, need that down energy. And that's very important for people to know. And I love this. I saw it, and I apologize. I don't know, unfortunately, the gentleman who said it, but I love the premise around it, that he's not setting New Year's resolutions. He's beginning to make New Year's practices.
Yes.
Because it's a practice. You work every day at getting better at it. And if you have a day where you fail or you fall down, you go, that's okay, I'm still practicing. And I think that's a great philosophy to apply to your life in general.
Yes.
I'm changing my energy. I'm practicing on manifesting a job that brings me hope, peace, and happiness. Put that energy out. I'm manifesting and working and practicing on getting a healthy body. I'm practicing into forming a functional relationship, either with a partner or family, or, because if you change your mindset, it takes a lot of the pressure off. And I know a lot of people, and again, the Secret is a wonderful program. Excuse me, it's a fantastic program, but I think it does have a lot of that for me personally. When I looked into it, it definitely had that like all or nothing, like change your mindset overnight, which for a lot of people, very challenging to do. And that's why, like I'm saying, this thing with working from home is so great for people, because now they're going, wait, I can work from home because I've already done it.
Yes.
So, maybe now the thought of running your own business from home isn't as overwhelming because you've already worked from home. So people can take those baby steps. Yeah, Jack's, this is like the fourth time, guys. Louise and I were chatting before we started, so he comes back and forth to say hi. But but I think for people, and it's that thing of like when you want to manifest a new relationship, to be able to go, I'm opening to love, but I'm still honoring the vulnerability I have from past potentials or past things that happened. Just as a way to know that you can make big, significant changes, but they can also be gently done in steps. It doesn't have to be all one giant, like, shove yourself into a place where you're uncomfortable.
Exactly. And this person that I was talking to today is, it's basically the same feedback that I'm getting from most of the clients that I'm seeing, that I saw at the end of 2020 and I'm seeing now, is they feel out of sorts and they think that they have to change
Yes.
to make improvements. And that was the word, patterns. I have to break down these old patterns. And I'm like, patterns are what made you who you are right now. Don't poo-poo on the patterns. Look at it, with a different perspective. What is positive about the patterns that I have?
Yeah.
What is maybe something that I can release, that, I really don't need to practice that anymore, like you're using the word practice, and maybe practice some more of this particular pattern to fulfill my desires and what I wish to have in my life.
And I mean, that's a great way to look at it, though, because if you can go, and I always say that to people too, your patterns are your spirit's way of developing a belief because it experienced something that could potentially have been overwhelming or daunting. So it formed this belief, or it formed this particular pattern that it uses as a guarding mechanism. But then it's your job to assess whether the pattern is still beneficial or it's becoming limiting. And if it is limiting, to be okay with being not ready to let it go just yet.
Exactly.
And that's where a lot of people get stuck. And you and I have discussed this many times, that you see on TV or you read in certain books or you see, on channels, all this stuff, what somebody wants you to see. So many of the spiritual, podcasts, many of the, and I'm not trying to trash other people, but they come across as being so, like grounded and together and centered, and, everything is perfect because they follow a spiritual practice. And, I always try to make sure people are reminded that I go, if you are still in a human body, you still have stuff that you're working on, regardless of what practice you have. So you might be seeing somebody, and they go, oh, I put this intention out and I manifested this. And we go, great, but maybe that wasn't the same block that I'm having. Like maybe, yeah, let's use examples. I don't mind using personal stuff because we're all friends here. For me and Lou, we have very different situations with relationships. Louise is in a long-term marriage. Myself, I'm single, been single for a very long time. It would be easier for Lou. Well, I don't want to say easier in the sense that I can't do it, but it'd be easier because you've had the practice of a long-term marriage where I never have.
Right.
So for you to go, oh, I'm going to manifest another relationship. If you decide to do that, you already have that background where I don't, but I might go, oh, I'm going to do this. I did fashion design, so I'm going to manifest a fashion business. It would be easier for me where I've done that. And I think that's where people forget that, is that your experiences are going to allow you to manifest different things in a different way to what I can. And just because you might manifest something in one way, it doesn't mean that I'm broken because I can't or I'm not right now. It just means maybe my focus can go somewhere else to create something different right now.
Yeah,
Exactly. And that's always what we explain to people, and I know Lou does this as well with hers, where your spiritual practice really should be something that, if you can, is gentle, that you integrate into your life, not something that you shove yourself into and change your life to match it.
Exactly.
And I think that's for a lot of people, again, that intention or setting that belief, for the new year, where there is that thing of don't become so rigid. If you're going, I want to change patterns. So, for example, for me, I work on relationship stuff. It's not the end of the world if for some reason I don't manifest a partner in my life at this time right now, because maybe something else is going on. But it could be that he's going to come into my life, 6 months down the road.
Yes, and indirectly with things that you are involved in right now.
Something else. And I think that's where a lot of people don't see that, is because they go, well, I was supposed to manifest it. And I see it a lot with my clients, because we've been given this belief when you put out the intention to manifest, it's supposed to be instantaneous. So I'm supposed to make a giant life change overnight, and it's supposed to be changed tomorrow. And if it doesn't, then somehow I've messed it up. And that's where a lot of people, and again, I feel like I'm picking at the secret, but I'm using the name because a lot of people are familiar with that practice. Mm-hmm. And it is a great practice. But I do find one of the things it doesn't express is that it can sometimes take years to reset beliefs. Just because you're not seeing instantaneous results doesn't mean you're still not making some sort of headway.
Exactly. It takes work. I told that to the client this morning. It takes a lot of work. And if you're not ready to do this work, what do you expect the universe and that desire that you have to, to move forward in certain things, what do you expect? It's not going to move forward. You have to work towards it.
But I think too, it's also to be able to say, I'm not ready to work on that. I would rather work on something else that I'm ready for. And that's where we say to people, or I do it as well, but be careful with making a list and then your list becomes the law.
Yes.
I've got to do this in 2021. I have to do this. I have to achieve this, because then it becomes a rigid to-do list, and to-do lists are something you can fear because you run out of time. So if you go, I'm going to do this year, if something comes up that was unplanned or unexpected, which happens in human life, look at COVID. There's a lot of people that were not expecting this to come and uproot, the energy of life in the way that it did, and I think that's the important thing, to be able to go, okay, something else manifested instead. It doesn't mean that I can't have that, or I failed because I didn't get it, or I'm not, the universe is keeping it from me. It either means the time wasn't right, my spirit wasn't ready, or something else is being aligned somewhere else to make sure it's even better when I do get it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that big canvas. Remember that canvas I purchased, the 4 feet by 5 feet?
Yeah.
Huge, taking up pretty much my whole studio, and had been sitting in the garage for months, and then finally, I set up my studio and I brought it in, and I looked at it on the easel for weeks and weeks, and I'm like, I was doing other paintings. I had a couple of commissions that I had to finish, and then all of a sudden I got off my chair and I started working on it. And then the more that I was putting into it, I didn't know what it was going to evolve to. You've seen a little bit of glimpse of,
and I think
you
put a few pictures on your Instagram, eh?
I have on Instagram, and I think Facebook on Red Lang Lou Originals, if people want to see some of my work. But anyway, it's basically done. I'm just tweaking it right now, where I thought it would take me months.
Yeah.
Just putting the intention that this was the painting, all of a sudden, all these different messages were coming to me, and all these different pictures, and yeah, anyway, it's unreal once you start. And
Mhm.
but what's important also, when you have an intention and you start working towards it, allow it to flow the way
Yes.
it's going to flow. Don't try to control it.
But I think too, what you're saying here too, that people need to understand as well. You put the intention that you wanted to do the painting, but you didn't become so rigid telling the universe what you wanted the painting to be.
Exactly.
And I think that's where a lot of manifesting comes, where people go, I have to get this job. And you could word it and leave it open ended and say to the universe, I want a job that brings me happiness, peace, and joy.
Yes, or brings me the A, B, and C, stuff that you're passionate about.
Yes.
Bring me a job that will bring this into my life,
Yes.
And because once I started painting it, eventually I sat back in my chair and I started crying. Like, I mean, literally sobbing. I was so moved by what was transpiring in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's happened to me to other projects that I've done, some of my felting work. And that's when I know that I'm guided. I'm guided by spirit.
But I
And
think too, this is something that we can save for next week, because Lou and I
okay.
are both artists, and
Yeah.
This was what we were originally going to talk about this week, was spiritual, inspiration.
We'll
And
talk about
how
that
when
next
you're creating something for you, or when you're allowing spirit to guide you,
Right.
and how you see this difference and how things flow differently. But I think that's a great example to sort of use, though, for the context of, you didn't sit down going, I have to finish this painting this month. It's got to be done this month, or,
No.
it's crap, or, I have to go back to painting and I got to paint 16 hours a day. And, because that's what a lot of people do with their intentions, is you set out this thing, and we're told that if you really, really, really believe something, like hardcore believe it, then that's going to make it happen. Where in truth, that sort of rigidity can actually be holding you back from allowing things to shift and flow. Now for me, my 2021's already, I can't say anything right now. There's tinkles in the ether, which I can bring up over the next few weeks, which you guys will find out about. My 2021 has definitely shifted. And I said to the universe, for my wording, I said, thank you so much for the beautiful opportunities of 2020. So for me, that was having to move twice. That was having to get sick. That was, because again, we might not see the blessing in the lesson, but it is still some sort of a lesson. And I said, thank you so much for those beautiful lessons. Those are really hard lessons. This year, I'm choosing to take on gentle, peaceful ones that aren't as disrupting. I'm okay with accepting that, but I haven't told the universe what lessons.
Right.
And I think that's important, because for a lot of people as well, you get in the thing of, I want this so that I no longer have to have this. I have to do this to get rid of this. I want the partner so you're not lonely. You want the finances so you don't panic about money. You want the job so you don't have to, sludge to work every day. And I think that's it, because when you're doing it that way, there still is an inner fear coming through of, oh my God, if I don't get this, then I have to have this.
Right.
And as soon as you're putting that intention out, that has the ability to block your manifesting, block your belief, which is why what we're trying to tell you guys today is, it's really important to take those baby steps. And, maybe say to the universe, like, I like working from home, but I'm still not in love with this job. But thanks, universe, for giving me the opportunity to try this. I'd like to try something that suits me even better, with the freedom that I had at home, or, with the energy I had, sort of thing. Like, he's been sitting here the whole time. You're just going to see him. He's been trying to get attention. But I, to word it in a way, not just, I have to have a new job. Because for a lot of people, when you're coming from a place of fear or like experience, a lot of people are going to block, because they're going to go, but where's the job coming from? What is a job? What if I don't have the training or the experience? What if I'm too old? What if I change this job and then something happens at that one, and then I lost this job that I had? These are very real for a lot of people, and it's important to honor those, not just shove yourself and go, suck it up and get a new job,
Right.
Because like Lou is saying, yes, there's work involved, but what we're trying to make you guys are aware of, that yes, is work involved, but hi, I know you're doing a lot of talking. I know. Sorry. He loves everybody. But no, but like, there's that intention where you can say, I want to make a change, without beating yourself up for not making the change yet.
Yes.
Without fearing if the change doesn't come along in 2 weeks when you demanded that it should be in 2 weeks, right?
But that's the thing. Try not to be literal with what you're putting out there.
Yes.
See what you wish to see evolve within whatever time. Don't put a time limit on it, because I find that when you do put a time limit, Jack, that's when you're bound to fail.
Yes.
Because you're trying to control it.
Well, and that's I think the great wording, and that's like the root power word of this. So many of us don't want to give up our control.
Exactly.
And your painting's a great example. You could have controlled that.
Yeah.
When you're getting this intuitive flow to put pink in there, and you could have been like, no, pink's not going to work. I'm going to put in green. Like, we can do that. And I like I mentioned, I did a question and answer video where I said to them, your guides through the universe can tell you stuff. You don't have to follow through with it. For me, I moved into that house where I already had the feeling like no, and I was like, nope, I'm doing it. Like, I'm trusting myself on this one. My spirit's giving a push. And I think that's what's really important too, to explain to people, you can do something. Like Lou could have put green on the canvas and sat back and gone, that's not working. I guess I'm going to paint pink instead. To explain to people that you can put these intentions out there, but don't be scared if you do something that doesn't work out in the way you thought you did. You have the freedom to change it. You don't have to wait till next year to change it.
Exactly.
Because for many people, having the focus of the new year is a great place, but it can also be very limiting, because then it's like, I've got this time frame where you can literally wake up every day and act like it's a new resolution, a new year, a new moment. Where, because if I start, say, and my changes, I always tend to do around my birthday, so August 2nd. So for me, my year is August to August.
Right.
That's how I do mine. And this last year, I had a whole bunch of stuff that I was going to do, like a whole set load of intentions. And then, like I said, COVID hit, which was unexpected. My house stuff hit, and I had to move twice. So, I mean, that was a lot of stuff to take on in 1 year. And so I had to sit back with myself and go, Paleki, it's okay. You didn't get everything achieved. You thought you were achieving. You got the next year. You got the next moment, you got the next thing, because in reality, the universe is always going to want to help you find your peace or help you find your equilibrium. It's us and our fears that tend to block that and get it stuck.
Yes. Yeah. Our ego gets in the way.
Yeah.
And fear sets in, and control, and everything else.
I mean, these are all beautiful things, like love your control. Like for
yes.
me, where, I sat there and like I said, and I use this example because people already know, I moved into a house that had mold in it and moved back out of. I've spoken about it a few times here, and on other stuff. But, for me, I could have gone into the, oh, no, why did I do this? But instead I was like, oh, no, universe, not okay. Move me out of here.
Right.
And I think that's the important thing, as I wasn't trying to be like, well, I've moved in, I have to prove that I can stay here. I was just like, oh, no, not working. Get me out, make me healthy. And I think that's the important thing, is you can say, I've got this new job. I tried a new job, and oh, I don't like this job. I thought I would like it more than I like that other job, but I don't want to go back to that other one either. It's not that you've made a mistake. It's the universe is giving you potential to try.
Yes.
I always say, try before you buy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Trying on the sweater in the store, looking in the mirror, going, okay, not loving it. So it looked better on the rack. Put it back. You don't beat yourself up for picking up the sweater and going, oh my God, I can't believe I thought this sweater looked great. And then I put it on and it looks like you literally, but we do that with jobs. We do that with relationships. We do that with homes. We do that with, anything. We do it with so many things where you set this intention. And then if you get it and it's not what you thought as well, then you're like, well, I have to suck it up and deal with it, or I have to make sure it stays in because, I manifested that. Remember, all manifesting is experiencing something different you've never tried before, so that you have an opportunity to decide whether or not you like it and you want to go deeper into it.
That's a good explanation. That's good.
And I mean, well, how many of those lottery winners do you see, right? Like the millionaires, and they're like, I thought my life was going to be incredible when I won the $100 million, and it ruined my family and my partner left. And, and it's like, it's not that they were punished for having the money, but it was a different set of energies that came out. And then old fears could have come in place and manifested new things with the money in play. Like there's so much stuff, but I think that's what's important for people is it's okay for your manifestation not to bring you peace. And it's okay to change it after if you want to.
Yes, that's the one thing you can control. You can change it.
Exactly. And I think for people, if you can see that we go, that when we say control, we mean control that decision. We don't mean
yes, that scenario.
But when we use that wording, that you can control that situation. Hi, buddy. He's most active. He's been with us before.
Yes.
He's going to be our third co-host. He doesn't get a cut of the royalties. We make nothing. But yeah, but for a lot of people, because I think if you can get your mindset around that you can manifest something and change it, it's not as scary. You know,
Right.
because I want to change this and I want to get this practice. And you can go, oh, I didn't get that done this year. Okay, I'd like to try it this year. No, I'm doing it not like I thought it was going to be. Don't enjoy that. Time to, shift it again. And I
Mm.
think if people can see it from that perspective, that it's all energy. Everything is just an opportunity for your soul to try, do, and see something in a way that it never saw before. And you were allowed to go, oh, I don't like the way that feels. I don't want to, I don't like the sweater, not taking it home, or you get the sweater home and you go, why did I buy this? It's like, guess what, honey? You still got the receipt.
Right.
You can take it
Right.
back. The universe always keeps your receipt for you. They're going to go, oh, you didn't like it. The important thing is to not go into the regret. And if you want to go into a regret, consciously go into the regret and own it to see what lesson you can learn from your regret.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay?
Own the emotions that are coming from, a sense of, if you feel a sense of failure or disappointment, or tap into that emotion.
And that's
then,
what it is, for a lot of people. It's not that you have fear over manifesting. It's that you have fear over those things, like your failure, fear over the, not achieving something or getting something and having it taken away. Like it's actually our root fears and beliefs that stop us from manifesting, not the belief itself.
Exactly. Yeah. There's
So,
always an underlying emotion.
yes, very much, 100%. All right. Well, how are we doing with time, Miss Louise? I think we might be coming up for time.
Yes, I think so.
All right. Well, yes. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for sticking with us again. And we really appreciate it. And we are loving the likes and shares that we're getting. So again, we upload the videos onto Facebook too. If you see them there, please do like and share. Same thing on Instagram, YouTube, all of those places, platforms. If you see them. Hi. Okay. Sorry, he's biting my hand. 1 second. I know you need a lot of attention tonight, and that's okay. That's where we are right now. It's okay. I get you. Perfect. Yes, and one thing that I did not have last time that I do have now, I have my new website up. So paleki.net.
Yes.
If you happen to go on and it's got information about my readings and stuff, or if I do anything, Instagram, spiritual.medium.paleki, Facebook, Angel Messages by Paleki, and our YouTube where we're putting up all the Pilu is Spiritual Medium Paleki. Pilu on, I'm sorry guys, this list gets longer every week and I'm like, and this. We post all the stuff below, so you can find links on that below as well if you can't get it. But Pilu on Spotify, P-Lu on Podbean. Hopefully Apple will be on this week. So you can definitely find a lot of the different ways, and get it in whatever format works for you, either through video or audio that you can download and take with you. And definitely please do keep commenting. We love getting the comments and, getting your feedback. And, we love to interact. Like we've mentioned to you before, you are our third person sitting into the conversation with us.
And can I butt in? Yeah. And you can find me on Your Healing Journey with Louise Lang Farr on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. No, you're good. Jump in.
Instagram, Journeying with Louise Lang Farr. That's on Instagram. And if you want to see some of my art, Red Lang Lou Originals on Facebook.
Perfect. Lou knows me well enough to know to jump in. I talk, so Lou, we're good.
and my website is coming. I'm procrastinating on this one. I really am.
You're getting ready when you need to be ready to make your website, right?
Yes, but I own it.
Yes, but that's it. That's the difference, right? So, and that's it, because you're saying I want to do my website, but you don't have the timeline put on when it has to be done.
No, I don't.
And again, I think that's what, is really important for everybody to get before we sort of sign off here, is remember, you can make a decision, but it's allowed to be a gentle decision. And sometimes we will have things happen in our lives, or we have things, lessons that come out of the blue that we're not expecting, that are really giant life changes. Like a lot of people did lose jobs this year, unfortunately, that was a, side note. But instead of seeing it as a punishment, maybe go, great, what opportunity is the universe giving me to manifest something new? So I don't have to go back to an old pattern that maybe wasn't bringing me joy, or, staying stuck in a limiting job that I am not able to, wouldn't have changed had the universe not given me potential. There's so much there that, and we forget when we go into these turmoils and struggles, how much the universe genuinely loves us and wants us to be happy, but we also have free will. So it's never going to shove us out of the way.
Right.
You know, and
Yes.
that's where, you know, I think that's for people to know, is that you don't have to prove to the universe you deserve to be happy. You just maybe have to put that work in, like Louise mentioned, to consciously assess and address what blocks might be holding you back, and seeing if they're still necessary, or if it's something you maybe need to work on a little bit in order to allow the new thing to manifest.
Right.
And one last time before we're done. Hi. Hi,
Jackie.
buddy. Hi. Say
Hey,
hi.
Jack.
You can say hi to everybody. Say
Hi,
hi to
Jack.
everybody. There we go. All right. Well, with that, from me and Jack on my end, thank you, everybody. Have a lovely and beautiful week. And it was good to chat with you, Lou.
Nice seeing you, Jalopy.
All
Yeah,
right.
Jack.
And Jack. So because she ran upstairs.
Okay.
I have to mention her too. She's the other one, so she doesn't get jealous. But she did not put in as much effort as Jack did today, so we're good.
No, he
All
really
right.
performed well.
He did. He did. Next week you'll probably see he won't come around, but still.
Yeah.
Lovely. So
Well,
thank you so much, everyone. We truly appreciate you following through on episode number 8, and we will see you next week right here on Pilu. Take care. Love ya.
bye, P.
Love you, Lou.
Love ya. Bye.